Hey there, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm Lacey Verbick, and I'm here with my favorite flamingo, Becky North. How are you, Becky?
You know, Lacey, I am so excited to shout from the rooftops, happy birthday to you, my favorite flamingo.
Thank you.
Love
thank
that
you.
we had some time to not necessarily in person, but celebrate you and all that you are for this world this week. And I just hope that you felt the love of everybody around you, and that you can see your impact every single day in the world, because it's a better place because you're here. So happy birthday, my dear friend.
I love that. Thank you so much. You know how to shower me with love like no one else. I'm so blessed. It has been a really fun. I'm gonna call it a birthday weekend. I feel like it was really condensed this year for me. Like everything kind of started happening on Friday morning, and I Friday was my actual birthday, and here we are Sunday night, and I feel like I haven't slowed down for 5 seconds. So all kinds of festivities and fun and friends and just gifts and acknowledgement and just a lot of love. So it's been fabulous, and I'm so grateful. And if you're listening and you reached out to me and I haven't responded yet, I will, okay? I'm having too much fun. All right, leave me alone. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Had a great lunch with a girlfriend today too, and shout out to Mandy. Appreciate you, girl. It was a beautiful lunch. So yeah, it's been a fun week, and my husband did a great job, kind of showing up husband-like for a birthday, and thought it would be fun to buy me some furniture, so I'm getting a new dining room. Yeah, so that's
Exciting.
So that's fun. He worked out some kind of deal with the T-Mobiles. He did some phone promotion thing where we ended up getting new phones, and this happened around the end of the year last year, and because we did it through Costco. I guess T-Mobile's at Costco, and we did it at Costco, and so we got $850 of Costco like gift cards, like store
Love
credit.
that.
Yeah, which was awesome. I don't know how he did it, some kind of voodoo magic. And so I said, all right, well, what are we going to do with our $850? And he was like, well, I should buy you something for your birthday. And I was like, okay, diamonds? Just to start the negotiations, on a high note, I was like, diamonds? And he said, how about a new dining room? And I was like, sold. So there we are.
Sold. Still
Diamonds.
starts with a D, so
I mean, dining room instead of
dining
diamonds.
room sets are a girl's best friend.
I'm good, so that was kind of, he showed up pretty big this year, so that was cool. So
I love that.
Yeah. What's new in your world? What's going on there?
I was sitting here thinking before we got started that all summer long I was like, I am ready for fall, and now I'm like, I am ready for spring.
Yeah.
The cold and the snow and the yuck. Ugh, I'm just ready for that to be done and to open my windows a little bit. And I think I am starting to feel the itch of coming out of rest, maybe like it's time for growth, and it's time for that spring brings. And so, I'm excited.
I also am feeling I'm feeling spring, baby. It's coming. It's gotta be.
I hope
it's
so.
Coming.
Yeah.
But today in Indianapolis was strange. Like they had all these warnings out and weather warnings and such and things, and it was like 27 degrees and sunny, which is a pretty big improvement over what it's been for about a week and a half now. Yeah. And so I was kind of like, I don't need my coat. Yeah.
And then I went your coat at 27 degrees.
And then I went into we're Midwesterners and we're crazy, okay? But I went into the grocery without my coat, and my husband was like, "You probably should wear your coat." And I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I have a warm sweater on today." So I was like, "I'm good. I can go." And so on the way out of the store, of course, like an hour and a half or 2 hours later, I was like, "Oh shit, I should wear my coat."
Gotta wear my coat. Yeah.
But anyway, we live and learn. When you're my age and you're having your own internal summer, coats become a little less necessary,
I did wake
So
up in the middle of the night the other day, like drenched in sweat, completely hot and disgusting. And like I took a quick shower, like laid a towel down because my husband's sleeping, so I couldn't like change the sheets. But then I came over and like opened the windows and sat in front of them because I was like,
sometimes getting in that hot shower and all that humidity is like absolutely just suffocating
I took a cold
for
shower. I
me.
was so hot. I took a cold shower and then I sat in front of the windows. I mean, I had dried off, but like it was very cold outside. So,
I can
but
just
then
imagine you like naked airing it out, and your neighbors
I
are
was
like, "What the
I
hell,
was
Becky?"
not naked and airing it out. I had my Christmas pajamas on, but I was sitting there and I probably dropped the temperature in our room like 3 or 4 degrees, and then I was like, okay, now we can sleep. Then I slept like a baby.
Our poor husbands and our bedtime shenanigans. Like, sorry, boo. Love you. Thanks for
I did like cover
tolerating
him up
my.
with an extra blanket first, so there's
Well, you
that.
said you put a towel down. I mean, that's a courtesy towel. I mean, you're good. You did it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Woo, right on. This is fun. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Overextended Mom mini series. In part one, Booked Solid, we talked about overscheduling, how the calendar quietly fills up, how busy life becomes the default, and how living at full capacity starts to feel normal even when it's draining us.
today we're moving right into part two, giving until it hurts. This is where we talk about the emotional labor, the mental load, the constant pouring out that moms, like all over, so many moms carry. Without even realizing it, we are unpacking how we give automatically. That's right, ladies. It becomes automatic. Why it's so hard to stop and what happens when everyone else is taken care of but you. This episode is all about noticing where your energy is going, naming the invisible work you do, and giving yourself permission to acknowledge how exhausting it can be to always be the one holding it all together.
And be sure to stick around for part three, Just Say No, where we'll talk about boundaries. Not boundaries from a place of guilt or burnout, but from clarity, confidence, and choosing yourself without apology.
Mm.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited about this one.
Me too. I feel like
Are we always excited about them? I mean, let's be honest.
I
We're
think
always
so.
excited.
Maybe,
but-
yeah. Yeah. I feel this
But-
one feels really timely for me, I guess,
Good.
in the current moment. So, yeah.
Well, very good. I'm sure that you have some amazing notes. So why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. So I want to call back to something actually, Lacey, that I said in the last episode, that I think that oftentimes we start showing up and giving, and then we keep giving and giving and giving, and that comes from a place of love more often than not, I think. And I think, and this could be true for anybody, not just moms, right? But like, I just want to say, hey, we're talking to moms because we are moms, right? Like, and but that we as people, when we give and give and give and give, and then that giving starts to become expected or an obligation, like that's the point that we need to stop. We need to stop. Doesn't mean stop doing it necessarily, but like stop, take back, and like analyze the situation, right? Whether that's with your spouse, whether that's with your kids, whether that's with your job, whether that's with your friends, the PTA, the whatever,
Yes.
like insert thing here, because I think more often than not, we volunteer and we say, hey, yeah, I could do that. And then I could do that becomes, oh, and I could do that. 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 And I know I do that, Lacey, where I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll host the baby shower, but it has to be the most magnificent baby shower there is. Right. And,
Yes.
and we have to have all of the snacks and everything has to be homemade and everybody has to, and that comes from a place of love. Right. But when we feel like it's no longer giving and it's expected, that's when we need to reset. I'd love to hear what you think about this.
Oh, 100%. I agree. And I don't think it's supposed to hurt,
Mm.
and when it starts to hurt, time to reevaluate. You know what I mean? When I mentioned this to you off the air before we started, Becky, but
Yeah.
I think as moms, there's some deep work that we're doing with our children, with our family, with the people around us, and sometimes we have to stretch ourselves and really lean in to giving, right? I think it's just a part of motherhood in general. But when it gets to the point of if it's hurting you, if you are hurting on a regular basis, it's time to rethink. Stop, reset. I totally agree. And I can think of a million times where I said yes to something like you were just sharing, and then made the choice to go way above and beyond. And and it ended up being punishment. It ended up feeling like punishment, right?
Yeah.
And that's, to some degree, I think that's a life lesson that we just have to do once or twice and go, ow, I didn't like that. I'm not going to do that again, right? Mm-hmm. But when it's a perpetual cycle, when this is showing up in your life on repeat,
yep,
whoa, time to stop and recalculate, right?
Yes, ma'am. I agree so much. And I'll say, like, and I know that in the next episode, we're really going to talk about solutions and stuff like that. But like, can I just say out loud, like, it's okay to say the hard thing. So if this is happening in relationships in your life, like, say it out loud to somebody at least, right? Like, because like, well, it's never going to get better if we don't. Right. And, Lacey, I know that you and I were talking right before this episode that really, like, on kind of all the points that I was sharing with you, we were like, oh my gosh, this is people pleasing. Right. And
it is. Yes. So much.
That's kind of what this comes back to. And as a recovering people pleaser, right. Like
you and me both, sister.
I wanted to please the people. Right. So I wouldn't necessarily say the thing out loud. And then, sorry, then like I chose to let myself be the doormat.
Yep. You chose
by
to
not
suffer.
Saying the thing out loud. I allowed it to happen. Right. And that doesn't mean like I don't think that people in our lives are trying to be malicious. Let me be very clear. There may be some, right? But like
hopefully not.
The vast majority of people in our lives, I don't think, are trying to be malicious. They want what's best for us, right? And like, and it's really easy when somebody will be like, yes, let me, to just let them. Right?
Sure.
And so if you are let me, like, at the end of the day, like the feeling that you have in your gut, if you're not saying anything about it, you're allowing that to continue.
Yeah. And I mean, quite frankly, you're responsible for it.
Yep.
And I'm sure that probably doesn't feel good to hear.
No.
And I understand because I've been the person a previous version of me would have said, ugh, like, who are you? And that's not the case for me. I would have dismissed it. I would have said, well, I don't do that. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I did. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I did. And, it's funny. I guess, let's say for the purposes of this discussion that I'm on the other side of it. Let's say that I've learned my lesson and I don't do that anymore. Okay. Which I would love. Fingers crossed. Okay. Fingers crossed. But let's just say that that's the case. One thing I've noticed is that when I give less, I seem to engage less with the people in my life. And that can feel hard. And I think that is an unintended consequence of not people pleasing, not overgiving, not overextending. And I think it can feel a little bit hard. Like, well, if I stop giving, people pull back from me. If I stop people pleasing, I'm alone. Or
Okay.
people aren't calling me, or people aren't inviting me to things, or I'm, I think there's a social aspect here that and even a family and extended folks, in your circles where, a change in behavior can often sort of equal, feeling ostracized, feeling, not being included in the same way that you were before. And I think that obviously that negative feeling, or that felt consequence, makes you go, well, I have to go back to the way it was, right? Because I'm not prepared to deal with the feelings, that I'm getting now from this change or implementing these boundaries. And maybe we'll revisit this in episode 3 in this miniseries, Becky, because it's sort of what I'm touching on is boundaries, right? But when you
Yeah.
set those, boundaries, I mean, I think the title of this episode, "Giving Till It Hurts," is kind of a double-edged sword, right? Giving till it hurts us to give because we're drained and we have nothing left to give, and also learning how to give a little less freely hurts in another sense.
Yeah. I love what you were just calling out about how setting the boundaries maybe sometimes feels like the social implications of that. But I'm going to play devil's advocate a little, and we'll talk about this more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave the open loop here, but is that always at the choice of the other person? Right? Because I can recognize in myself that when I am feeling hurt, right? Or that I tend to like self incline, or I have in the past. That's something that I'm working on, right? And I get real quiet and real still and real just with myself in my little bubble, right? And
Hmm.
so are we feeling those social implications not necessarily because we set a boundary and it affects that relationship, which in some ways I think it absolutely does, but because we set a boundary and we're afraid we're going to cross it, so we made that wall a little bit taller than the boundary.
Interesting.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, I had never thought about it that way. Interesting point. Let us know, ladies. What do you think about that?
What do you think?
You know,
We'll talk about that more in
yeah.
the next episode for
Send us
sure.
a note or post something on social. I'd love to know what. I'd love to know how this shows up in your life, right? Or what experiences have you had where you felt burned,
Yeah.
or what experiences have you had where you felt really powerful and you said no to something, or you protected your ability to give on your terms, right? Rather than around someone else's expectations of you.
Right. And this, I
Yeah.
think, really brings out another one of the points that I had written down, Lacey. And I think that sometimes when we do that, like we start to build this resentment, like when we give and give and give
Mm-hmm.
and give.
Sure.
But again, it comes back to the we didn't say anything about it. And then this resentment just starts to fester. And nobody wants to talk about that out loud either. Right. And
It's
so
true.
I can't I've talked to so many people who are like, man, we were best friends. Not me and them, but like, we this person was my best friend, and then just all of a sudden one day we weren't friends anymore.
Mm.
And I don't know why.
Oh boy.
Right. And I think that there's a lot of things that we could say about that, right? And that, but I think that that's kind of where that question came from.
Mm-hmm.
Did this happen because of that person, or did it happen because we did that ourselves, right?
Sure.
And I think friends are one of the most beautiful things that we can have in this life.
Yeah.
People who see us and hold space for us and our feelings and love our families fiercely and cheer us on and show up because they want to, not because they have to. It's a very, very beautiful thing. And I am very, very blessed to have some really amazing people in my life. Right.
So good.
And I think, Lacey, you know a lot about my history, and I'm actually not going to talk about this part right now today, but, um, there was things that happened in my life that cut people out of it very drastically overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And not by choice, by a choice I made and I would make again, but them leaving my life was not my choice.
Right.
And that feeling really, really stuck with me. Right. And I think, if I'm honest, gave me a little bit of trauma, right? Like,
Sure.
and a little bit of, I'm just not enough and I'm just not this. But one of the biggest blessings that it gave me, I think, was really just that awareness about the relationships that we do have in our life. And
Yes.
I think that even if it is a season for you to walk away from a friendship for whatever reason, which feels so off topic from this a little bit, but like, we owe it to them and we owe it to ourselves to say the hard thing out loud.
Yes, and I think Becky, well. This applies to all kinds of relationships:
Yes, absolutely.
parents, family, friends, coworkers. It applies
Hmm.
to everything. Okay.
Yep.
I think what you're hitting on, and kind of the the way it landed on me is that if we fail to give voice to something, if we fail to say the hard thing out loud and give voice to the feeling we're having, or the situation that's at hand, then then it's kind of not on that person anymore.
Yep.
I mean, or
Yeah.
at least it becomes more of a sort of 50-50 responsibility, right? If you're
Yep.
not willing to say, hey, for example, the word that came up for me is I'm hurting because, or I'm hurting and I need your help,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And then you go into, how I am with scripts and stuff. It helps to have a prompt. It helps to have like language that anchors your confidence in approaching a situation that feels scary or hard or
Yeah.
big. And I think it's really hard, but also really freeing to be able to say to someone, at close range in a one-on-one, conversation, whether it's by phone or in person, hey, I've done this and this and this lately, and I'm feeling really burnt out, and I'm hurting, and here's why, and here's what I need you to know about it, or
Yeah.
what here's what needs to change,
Mm.
in this relationship, in order for me to move forward, or in order for me to feel better, or in
Yes.
order for me to continue to participate in XYZ thing, or
Yes.
whatever the situation is. And those are the big girl. I say, I joke that you have to put your big girl panties on for some conversations. I mean, this
Yep.
is one of those big girl panty conversations.
Yep.
And I don't love having them. I don't think anyone does. But at the end of the day, the hurt is guaranteed if you don't
Do anything.
voice it, if you don't speak for yourself, if
That's
you
right.
don't let the other person know. I'm certain, Becky, that I have done things that, I'm certain I do things that upset people all the time. And your choices are swallow it or say something.
Yep. Yeah.
And I kind of wish. Well, no, I more than kind of. I wish that people will um, love me enough to say, "Hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. Or this part is hurting me, or you know, this
Yeah.
doesn't feel safe anymore, or you're overstepping, or whatever it is, right?"
Yeah.
And I hope that people feel confident enough to have conversations, and it's not easy. It's not easy to let anyone know that something's not working. But if all you do is swallow it and suck it up, then you're asking for it.
Yep. That's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. And that
Yeah.
takes a lot of growth to even say out loud. So, um, yeah, I know we went way off there for just a
Well, we
second, but
sort of did, but
we
here we
sort of did.
are.
Let's bring
Okay.
it all back. So Lacey, I would love to talk about kind of like the invisible ways that moms give. And this kind of came to
Mm,
me in a download. And I would love to just hit on some that I thought of, and maybe you might have some that you thought of, and if not, that's okay too. But like,
yeah.
I think one of the invisible ways that moms give is knowing where everything is all of the time.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Yep.
Oh,
My
sorry.
actually the girlfriend I was having lunch with today, she talks about this all the time that like her
Mm.
kids use her as a second brain. Like so they
Yeah.
don't have to use their brain. They call her and they're like,
Hmm.
"Mom, mom, 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 mom. Where's the I need a where's the da da da?" And even her husband has started doing this now.
Yeah.
Hey, where's the, the purple thing that I had the
Mhm.
other day that I showed you that I don't know where it went? Yeah, where is it? And she usually knows.
Yeah.
She usually knows, but it's like that is a weight we should not have to carry.
Yeah. I have actually started being like, I don't know. I'm not responsible for that. Like,
I love that. I don't know. That's
um,
not my responsibility. I'm out.
yeah. And so, but I think that is, is one big way is like the knowing where everything is. I also think like, in most households, I think that the family calendar typically is falling
Oh.
on the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And she is the one not necessarily doing all of the things, because I think that there are a lot of dads who do and help and all of that. I see that actively all over. Right. But I think that like making sure that it's all kind of there so
Uh-huh.
everybody knows how the chess pieces move
Yes.
normally falls on mom.
Yes, and I wouldn't. Yeah, I think it depends on your household whether that's a visible action or an invisible
Mm-hmm.
action, right?
Yep.
Because I think for some moms, there's a big whiteboard and the whole family's watching and she's mapping it out, and that's the way it is. And then for some, it's mom quietly at her desk with a cup of tea at 9 o'clock at night. Making sure that the week makes sense and making sure
Yeah.
that everybody has, the ins and outs and the flows are all kind of calculated out, and that I think that one's a huge one for me. Like that's a way that I give that I think my husband probably registers, that's giving, but my kids don't.
Yeah.
No,
Well, and
definitely
I
not.
think I want to say, like, while I'm calling some of these out, this was just a list that came to me. These are not good or bad or anything. Like, we're not putting any label on them. They just are.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
are ways that we give, right? So I think
Mhm.
another one too that I had was like their favorite snacks.
Mm.
Making
Mhm.
sure that those make it on the grocery list,
Yeah.
right? Or even knowing them,
That's a great
knowing
one.
like, oh, and I think that's real. We're not talking just normal snacks. We're talking like I have one kid who loves
Mm.
vanilla wafers, right? And
Yeah.
like that would be probably his cookie of choice, honestly. And he loves to
Oh
dunk
wow.
them in milk, which I think is so weird, but he loves it, right?
I love it
And
too.
so
I'm with him.
if
I love that too.
if I'm trying to like do something special, or I'm like, oh, it's his birthday week or something like that, making sure that we have like the snack that they love, right?
Love it. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I thought of one that I just got done having an experience with a couple days ago. Being prepared for special occasions
Mm,
and stuff like pop-up birthdays or stuff like
yeah.
that. Like I'm the mom that's like always secretly prepared with gift bags, matching tissue. I got candles in the drawer ready for a spontaneous birthday song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the preparation, the thought, the intention, and the love, I think is invisible until it's needed, right? And then it's like wham bam, look, mom saved the day. Yay, right? But
Yeah.
it's invisible until it's not.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another one that came to my mind too was, and this may be for when your kids are in a younger season, but even my kids a little bit now, if they're sick, they tend to gravitate to me.
Mhm.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
and that's not that dads don't do an amazing job, because like my husband steps up tremendously. Right. But like there's something about like mom makes me feel better. right? And
Yeah.
they tend to gravitate to me if they don't feel good.
Oh yeah, for comfort.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great point. I don't know. Mine are the age where that's not so much. That doesn't happen so
Yeah.
much anymore. But I think that one of the ways that this shows up in my world is my daughter will call to tell me about her. You know, she's in college and she lives somewhere else, and um, she'll call to tell me about this issue or that issue or this challenge or that challenge. And most of the time she's having a great time in school, so she's got a lot of positive things to share as well. But she'll call and she'll kind of share a challenge, and she's told me that like just hearing my voice grounds her, like that when she's having a challenge, like the calling me and the hearing my voice is what is what takes the heat out of some
Yeah.
situations for her. And so and that's 100% invisible, right? That's presence
Yeah.
that we choose to offer.
Yeah. Well, and
Right.
I want to like, I'm so glad that you brought that one up because I actually want to talk about one. Maybe it wasn't necessary, the end results were not invisible, but one that happened, I know with you a couple years ago was when your daughter was a senior in high school. So we've known each other for a minute, right? But when your daughter was a
Yep.
senior in high school, I remember you built this amazing binder about
Yeah,
scholarship opportunities.
I did.
And
Yeah.
you laid out this, and that was part of like just helping her make sure that she had the best foot forward. But I know how much work that you poured in to that and then continued to pour into it even after the binder was given, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
to help make sure that that she really was taking advantage of all of those opportunities, and not that she's not amazing because she is, right? But like
Yeah.
really, I think that's one of the ways. And it's joked about in movies all the time about the mom who did the kids homework, or they did the project for them, or they did this because we are like, whatever it takes to give you better than we had,
Hmm.
more than we had. We want you to have all of the opportunities.
Yep. That's a perfect example, and I can't. Yeah, of course, you would talk about my own example because I didn't even think of that, Becky. But that's a brilliant example of how how sometimes we pour into things that we think are in someone's highest and best good, and we think we think that we're showing up in love, and we end up feeling hurt at the end
Yeah.
because it isn't a match for them, or it isn't aligned, or it isn't a focus, or whatever it is, and I don't know that I would do that differently if I was to repeat history. I don't know that I would do that differently, but I certainly would take it less personally. I would attach to it a little less, because my attachment to her use and application of the tool that I gave her created a bunch of suffering for me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that was an unintended consequence, right?
Right.
Of
I
my
don't think she was trying to
giving.
make you suffer either. Like,
No,
right?
no,
Like,
but it was
that's just what.
nonetheless I had the feelings.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Absolutely.
matter
Yeah.
what she thought
Right.
about
No.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, and
Yeah.
it's another thing kind of similar in this same vein has been coming up for me that I don't know, last couple of months is because my kids are older, and because they're coming into their own power as adults and things. A lot of lessons and examples that I have set out for them over all throughout their childhood are not being applied when they have opportunities to apply them. And I'm like, huh, like, interestingly, the feelings that come up when that happens is that everything, that all the teaching and all the time and energy and intention and presence that I've poured into them all throughout their childhood feels really futile. It feels like, why did I give all this, and why did I try so hard, and why was I so intentionally a good example in all these things if this shit doesn't matter? To like,
It does
so
matter,
I
though.
no, I mean, I think it's a good example of giving until it
Yeah.
hurts. It
No,
does.
absolutely.
I gave so much, and it wasn't I guess it didn't land, or at least it temporarily isn't registering, and
Yeah.
so it's not happening, and so I'm like, ugh, right, and it's a choice to take that back on me, right?
Yeah.
It's a choice to
It is.
say I own that.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is to say I did my best, and the rest is up to them. You know.
I don't know if we can ever fully as moms. I don't know if that's a thing. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but we'll see.
But
I have
I
just
think the suffering is optional, though.
the
right?
suffering is optional. Absolutely. That's not what I was saying. But I just mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll ever be like, But I can say in my own adult life that there are lessons and things that my parental figures in my life or people, adult people, they weren't always parents, right? But like, tried to pour into me that I necessarily didn't take. And then like something situationally happens and I reflect on that moment and I'm like, ooh, I'm ready for that lesson now.
Ooh,
right.
Interesting.
And where I can say, I can tie it back to, oh man, I reacted like this is how I handled a situation where maybe I had been in similar situations before, but I was ready now. Right. Like I was ready to receive the learning from that now when maybe I wasn't then. And
Well,
and
that is an interesting perspective. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I hadn't thought about that, but I've experienced that in my own life, where it was
Yeah.
like, when the student is, when the what is it? What's the saying? When the teacher is when the student is ready, the teacher will come. Right? Like
Yeah.
all the lessons that your, say mother instilled in you growing up, like sometimes you were not ready for that lesson, or it was something that sort of went into a memory bank and sat there until it was ready to be applied, right? Or until you were ready to experience it, to your point. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit more about active application. I'm like, chop, 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 chop. I taught you this lesson. Come on, let's go. Show me.
Let's go.
Show me.
Yeah.
Deliver it. Let's go.
Wow.
And that's pretty indicative of my parenting style. So that makes sense.
Well, I had just one more invisible way, and this one made me giggle a little. And but I was even thinking back. Well, my kids will still do this, which I hate to admit, but like I was thinking back to when they were littler too, and like the food on my plate was better than the food on theirs.
Ooh.
And I'm like, I'm gonna just say I'm weird about food. I love food, but I'm like, it's an interesting situation for me, and so like I would almost always sacrifice that, and I still would. And this is not about like whether there's enough for my kids to eat or whether there's enough for me to eat, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
right.
not the same situation. Okay, so let me say that, but like just like think about when your kids are very first, that's the best time to give the example, but when they're very first learning to eat, and you could have the exact same things on your plate, but they want it off of yours because you're mom and it's your plate. Right.
Yes.
And we typically as moms will give that to them, right? Dads will too, like that's not what I'm saying, but I'm just like that. To me, I was like, man, it's so interesting that this came up as an example for me because I personally would give it to them and then I wouldn't necessarily go refill my plate for me. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I would take whatever was left and then get up and keep on.
Yep.
And I think that like really ties into my next point is like, I think that there is this stigma is the word that I'm going to use. I think it's been handed down for generations and generations and generations about like, this is what a good mom does. This is what a good mom does, right? A good mom will give the food off her plate so her baby can eat. And again, I'm not talking about situations about like where there's
not enough. Right.
Right. Like I want to be really clear that that's a different situation and you like different kinds of support, right? I understand that. I'm talking from a very privileged place right now. Right? But I will do that, or I have to make sure the house is clean when my husband gets. I still do this.
You do.
Dad's on his way home. I work from home, but I'm still like, Dad's on his way home. We're all going to take a minute to reset the house.
Oh, wow.
That's not an expectation my husband has set. It's not always perfect. I want to be clear. But it is definitely something that was handed down to me, right?
Mm.
If he comes home and I haven't folded the laundry yet, I apologize every single time. Even though he's like, you have nothing to be sorry for. This is as much my responsibility as it is yours, right? But I think there is this stigma of this is what a good wife, this is what a good mother, this is what a good, partner does, right? And, well, first of all, I'm just going to say it's bullshit. Like, right? Like, because
well, I don't have I don't do any of that, so I may be really bad. I may be really
No.
really bad.
No, but like, listen, we live in a very, very different world than the beavers did,
The beavers,
right? I
You
always
mean the
use,
You mean the cleavers?
yeah, the leave it to beavers, yeah. The cleavers, the beavers.
No, the family's name was
Yeah,
Cleaver,
the
wasn't
cleavers,
it?
yeah,
The
it was,
Cleavers.
yeah.
Okay,
Leave
yeah,
it to
yeah.
beaver,
Leave
cleaver, yeah. But like, we had the most, like, we live in such a different world than that. Like,
Yes.
such a different world, right? Like, Judy Jetson was a freaking robot, right? Like, she did all the things for them so the mom could just, like the Flintstones, right? Like, it's such a different world than what it was
Yes.
in the 1800s, even in the 1950s. We live in a very different world now. Even then, when I'll be 40 this year. I can't believe I just said that out loud. But
Oh my god.
but when I was a kid, moms were still predominantly stay-at-home parents.
No.
And today, economically, now I think women work for all different kinds of reasons. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be very, very clear about that. Women work for all different kinds of reasons. And I am like, here for you, queen. Whatever that reason, like, right? But I think that there is a big majority of women who work because they need to work to make, it doesn't matter. like
Yep.
It is almost impossible to live in a single family income right now in
Agreed.
today's economy. Right. And I'm trying not be political or anything like that, but I think that we work for a whole lot of reasons and the world looks a lot different. Cleaning the house doesn't just fall on you, right? Doing the laundry doesn't just fall on you. All that is bullshit, right? Because at the end of the day, you come into a partnership with your family, with your spouse, with your significant other. Maybe it is even just you and your kids. And I know, ladies, that you've heard me talk about this. Like my kids, we've talked in depth about how we all have to work together to make it run. Did you know that in the 1800s that the majority of family had 5 kids? Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because they needed the hands to do the work. That's why.
That's right.
So asking
right.
your kids to load the dishwasher or having them do chores or wash their own laundry, that doesn't do anything but make you a good mom.
Yes. Agreed.
Right? Because
100%.
one day they're not going to have you. One day they're not going to live in your house. And hopefully the day that they don't have you in their life is a long, long way from now. But we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. And my number one job is to make sure that my kids are going to be okay after. And so what is my job as a mom? What is the only thing that I need to do? Love them fiercely.
Beautiful.
Because if my kids know that they were loved, I did my job. If they know how to do the laundry too, it'll be a bonus, right? But
Yes.
if they know that they're loved, who gives a rat's behind if the house sparkles? I would love my house to sparkle. That's unrealistic. I have 3 kids and 3 dogs. Right? But this invisible stigma that we have passed down, carried down, that we take from television or we take from the highlight reels of Instagram or whatever that is. And I know I've talked a lot, Lacey, so I'm going to be quiet so you could talk here in just a second.
No.
But
No, take your time.
this invisible stigma, let go of it. Cut the chains of it right now and say, really, what do my kids and my family need from me? Right? Because really, they don't need me to give them the last bit of food from my plate, especially if it's the exact same food that's on their plate. Or if I do, they need me to get up and make another plate. So I am nurtured enough to do the things that I do need to show up for.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
They need me to sleep at night, so I am rested enough to do the things that they do need me to do.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And that's so beautiful, Becky. And they also need you to demonstrate healthy giving, right? Like they
Yeah.
need to they're learning how to give of themselves from watching us.
Yep.
And again, I've said this on many episodes and I'm going to say it again. I hated that. I hated that as a young parent. I was like, whatever. I can't be the example for everything. Just stop it. Just stop telling me that my kids are watching every part of me and and that if I make mistakes, my kids are going to be damaged and all this. I really resisted that and really had strong feelings about that. But it's true. It's true, and we can give ourselves grace at the same time.
Yep.
But if we aren't modeling reasonable giving as a
Yep.
mother, our children are going to grow up with wild expectations that are
Yep.
unrealistic, right?
Absolutely.
And and then that's more work for them to do as an adult, right? That's more unpacking, more releasing programming, more healing, more therapy, whatever it is, right? It's stuff that's has to be undone at some point for a healthy, happy, balanced life for them. So I don't know, that's kind of my focus in parenting older kids and adults right now. Working with older children and adults right now is kind of like what can I do for them that's going to help them not have to unpack a bunch of shit later. Right? And I mean showing up in a well balanced and aligned to my truth way is one of the best things I can do for them. And so yeah, I mean, I love all of that. Becky, you were, absolutely spot on. Brilliant. As always. I I think I said this to you before we started recording too, but one thing I want to make sure we say here before we wrap it up is let's say we're overgiving. Let's say say you're guilty of overgiving. I probably am not actually guilty of that. I'm not with my family, at least. I think it's always been kind of important to me that everybody was a team player and we're a family unit and everybody pitches in, and I don't know that I can say I've overgiven at home in a really significant way, but I've seen it in lots of other areas of my life for sure, and people pleasing, big time. I'm guilty, but I said to Becky, an important distinction is are you overgiving in a moment, or are you overgiving as a mindset? Right? Like, is overgiving who you are, or is overgiving something that happens very occasionally? Right? And I mean, I'd encourage you to ask yourself that question. Is overgiving my belief that I have to do this to be wanted and needed? Or is overgiving just something that you sometimes have to swat down or suffer through, right? To get, to move on with life. Because I think the momentary overgiving is probably just a part of life, in my opinion. Right?
Agreed.
In my opinion,
gonna be times
it's
where
part of life.
has to happen.
But I think it's easy. It's easy to go from it's just a moment to, oh, I believe this is how I have to be accepted, or to be loved, or to be
how I give value.
Dangerous, right? A dangerous, creepy little line right there.
Yep.
So
that's good.
Yeah. Thoughts
well,
on
I'm
that?
so excited for part 3, I think, where we're going to talk about those things a little bit more. I think definitely diving into that, and just talking about the healthy boundaries and the tools and the things that maybe we've tried, maybe we haven't, right? So we'd love to hear, how are you overgiving? Does it hurt?
If you are. Hopefully you're not.
Yeah.
But
I
if
hope
you
you're
are.
not. I think
If
you
you
probably
are.
are, though. I think most people I know are overgivers. It's funny because you said, I don't know if I am. And I don't know that I would agree with that. Maybe not with your family, but I think you give big.
Yeah.
I've witnessed it.
Well, okay. I'll give it to you. I'll give you I'll give you I'll accept that answer from you that I probably, yeah, I'm sure I do. And and as you said in the beginning, to kind of tie a bow on this, it does come from love and it does start with love, but it doesn't have to end in hurt.
Physical, mental, emotional, any of that. It doesn't have to end in that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. This was really sweet.
This was
and
a sweet one.
Surprisingly powerful for me. I loved it. Wow. Let us know what you thought. Thanks for being here.
Until next time.